Okay,
Boom.
welcome to the pre-show, everybody, where we talk about what we're going to do on the show. As always, brought to you by SpinWiz Comics, spinwizcomics.com, also on iOS and Android. But don't take my word for it. You can really tell that I did not make that video.
It's so high class.
Yeah, it's very high class.
Way better than anything you could make.
Yes.
It's true.
We are going to talk about our top 5 graphic novels or trade paperbacks. We'll talk about the rules once the bullies get here. Yes, again, we are waiting on the bullies.
Go figure.
They'll be here soon.
Yeah.
You know how
They'll be here. Yeah, they stroll in late. It's okay.
Exactly.
You don't have to.
So get your lists ready, everyone who's hanging out, because we're going to talk about, again, top 5 graphic novels. But what else is going on? This is the first time Jules and Taylor have hung out in a while.
Yeah, this is a reunion of sorts for us.
Yeah, I've missed you, man. I really have.
I've missed you too, Taylor. We were just talking about it. I was like, I'm really looking forward to Taylor's list because I'm sure I can name everybody else's list.
Academic.
Yeah, you know what?
Let me go Google Mouse real quick.
I'm like a mix.
Cover
so
for that.
It's going to be nice to have somebody who's going to know some of the books I'm talking about tonight.
I'm flattered. But yeah, if I could trade you out and like kick Gomer off of the Sunday show, I would do that in a heartbeat.
So nice. Wow, that's saying a lot.
So much shade.
Really saying a lot.
I'm
just a Monday guy. I'm just a Monday guy.
Of course you are. I know I'm awesome.
Yeah, you're the glue that holds us all together, Gomer.
I know I'm awesome.
That's a fact. You are the glue.
But
You've always been the glue.
What they're talking about, we do a Sunday night show every Sunday where we do news and reviews. Taylor hangs out on that also with Adam, who's not going to show up. Adam,
nope, no Adam today.
And then we do a Monday night show. Jules is here for that.
I am.
Along with me and Adam. I'm always here. I don't know why.
I said you're the glue.
I'm the only one who knows how to use StreamYard.
But you are the foundation upon which we build.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true.
But on the Monday night show, we just talk about previews. We just go through every damn book that's coming out. Not all of them.
Not all of them.
But we go through all the publishers and touch on what we really are looking forward to.
Yeah. It's a fun time.
Next Tuesday, 1 week from today, just about, a week spot on. Geekterion collection, which is the best of the best of the best of geek movies. We are going to talk about Adam's favorite Christmas movie. My second, maybe third favorite Christmas movie.
It's definitely top 5 Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah, easily top 5.
Easily top 5 Christmas
Gremlins. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Not Gremlins 2, just to clarify. We will gloss over it the way we did with Matrix sequels, but we know Gremlins.
The Mall. It's like a mall.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. There he is.
Oh.
We are live, Leroy.
Oh, shit.
Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
You're not late. We're just doing the pre-show. Again, brought to you by spinwizcomics.com, also on iOS and Android.
Yeah.
We'll go live in a little bit. We still got a couple of minutes, but and then we still have to go over the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to show up for the Gremlins? That's too much horror for you, Leroy.
is right at that level where it's not because I said Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Dude!
Oh, that is one of the scariest movies.
That is scary.
That is a scary movie. That is.
What's the scary movie?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Large Marge in charge.
The clown. The clown gets me every time.
Oh no, not the clown.
The clown's early too. Ooh.
No, Large
I don't know
Marge.
if I call Pee-wee scary, but it does freak you the hell out.
The reason it's so fucked up because you watch a scary movie, you expect shit to happen. Like
exactly.
But Pee-wee's Big Adventure just going like normal, and then Large Marge just does that shit, and it like completely just fucked me up, and now I'm just like traumatized ever since.
True,
never been the same.
When a tone comes out of nowhere, like you weren't expecting, it really does hit harder. It's like in Futurama when they throw in some like sad shit. It really hits way harder because it's usually a funny show.
Your guard is down,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Eli, we're talking about Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
No, it's a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
The horror movie.
It's not a horror
Large
movie.
Marge
It's
scene.
not horror points in a horror movie. Because Eli, we were talking about Leroy coming to do Geekterion for Gremlins, and I'm like, is that too much of a horror movie for you? Are you? And then he immediately goes to Large Marge, which I guess scarred him for fucking life.
Yeah, man.
All right, so yeah, this has been the pre-show. We're just gonna get into the regular show now, y'all. All right, check out spinwizcomics.com, also on iOS and Android. Literally, it's free comics. So yeah, don't miss out on that. Let's get this show on the road. I'm gonna pick my favorite one, and I'm sure this is gonna be on. I only do this when we show up.
Welcome back to the Comic Book Bullies with Nerds New Bully and your host Leroy, aka Dirk Winnie.
Greetings, geeks. Welcome back. Another TGiC special edition, top 5. We're going to do graphic novels. We're going to go over the rules in a minute. I'm your co-host, Gomer. With me, as always, Jules, True, Taylor, but always hanging out for top 5. The Comic Book Bullies. Get this out of the way. Go search Comic Book Bullies all over the place. Outright Geekery Facebook page, of course, but there's also a Facebook page for them. They're on Twitter. They're on YouTube, Parler, all the major social media.
Work in progress.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What's up, everybody? I'm so excited to do this, not because I have a great list. I hate my fucking list.
I knew you were going to say that.
Get it out of the way.
I'm still workshopping my list right now.
Oh, my gosh.
Ooh.
It's like he was watching Blade 2 last one. He's like, I'm almost done with Blade 2. Just give me another minute.
I was going back and forth on my number 5 this morning, but I think I've settled on it now.
Same here. I'm still deciding which one I want to pick. Do I want to be like that guy that chooses the thing no one's ever heard of,
with the monocle and the handlebar mustache?
Oh yeah.
or then choose the one
guy with the monocle.
choose the book that everybody else chose too. So
I mean, sometimes a pick is in everyone's top 5 because it should be. You know, don't be contrarian.
My predictions: Taylor's going to have a lot of academic shit. Jules is going to have a lot of good stuff, but it's got eye-rolling stuff. Eli has at least one Punisher arc. And Leroy's got at least one old school Avengers arc. What are the rules?
Narrow it down. Yeah.
What are the rules?
what are the rules? Because
we need to we should have established rules ahead of time.
I think
But
we all
honestly,
do the rules. I want to make sure everybody
I
else
think the only qualification is really just a trade, as long as it was a trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If you want to pick,
That's all.
if you want to
that
pick,
wasn't me.
Oh, no.
if you want to pick like
It had to be its own self-contained story that didn't that wasn't.
That's okay if it's still contained story
Well,
as long
see,
as
those
it
are
was
two
a
very
trade.
different things. But like something like Why the Last Man is 10 trades, but it's like one complete story.
Yeah. So I think.
But I guess there's like absolute editions and stuff.
Yeah, I think
That's why technically I wouldn't count Why the Last Man on this list.
That's right.
There's
That's
no.
right.
Yeah, like fans, like I'm gonna just say one that's not on the list for me. Alan Moore Swamp Thing.
Akira is on one. I wanted to put that on my list. It's like 6
I didn't choose. Yeah. I figured if it was a part of a run, if it was part of like a run, then I didn't choose it. Yeah,
which made this very difficult.
And like
yes,
Akira in one volume would weigh like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's it basically. So I think we're gonna have to do another top 5 at some point. Best runs.
Yes, because there's two different things. Graphic novel and run, two different things.
Maybe not next time. Maybe January. Maybe we'll do another movie thing. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. What we're gonna do next after I've exhausted myself from yelling at y'all's stupid answers. Okay.
I've already prepared for you, Goma. I already know what you're gonna say to dissuade my argument, so I already prepared for you.
Oh man, he's laying there.
Prep time.
Up at night, man. Over Gomer picks. What am I gonna do? Anyway, all right. My first pick. Let's start off number 5. All right, I'll start. Everyone's gonna hate this pick, but I have a really solid answer for why I chose it. House of X, Powers of 10 by Jonathan Hickman and Pepe Larraz.
Ooh.
That shit came out like yesterday.
I
What the
know.
fuck?
I know.
Yeah.
I can't believe you chose such a new one.
Is the trade even out yet?
It is. The trade
It
is
is.
out.
The trade is out. The trade is out.
Okay.
Okay,
I can't
I
confirm
like
that.
that. It was a good read. I
It's a
feel like
really
you
good
need
read.
I feel like you need a waiting period before you let it be like
Of all
the
time?
best
Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
Okay. Let me say why this is on my list.
So we can
X-Men was
shit on it.
definitely X-Men. Oh well, sure, but X-Men was going to definitely be on my list. Something. God Loves Man Kills.
That would have been a good pick.
Something. Okay. What makes those books so good? The idea that the X-Men are a metaphor for racism, right? Now that is passe now. Okay, it was honorable. It was historical. Every bit of top-notch books could have made this list. But let's be honest, all right? That metaphor in today's culture is outdated. You cannot have a stand-in for minorities, people of color, women, disabled folks. I don't care. Pick your poison. You cannot do that anymore. It is offensive and they will cancel you.
Thank you, white man, for pointing that out.
I am not saying.
I was going to say that. I was just going to say that.
I'm not saying that I disagree with that shift, but I am merely pointing it out that it has happened. The mutant metaphor, pardon the phrase, had to evolve, and this is what has evolved it. Now, again, X-Men had to make the list. What else was I going to put on it if that
Dark
was
Phoenix
the
Saga,
criteria?
Future
What?
Past. I mean, shit.
Days of Future Past.
You can keep
those
going.
all-
You already said God Loves Man Kills, and
I was just gonna
do
say,
think that would have been
Age
better.
of Apocalypse, fuck it. You know?
But those all deal with X-Men in the context of the mutant metaphor, which doesn't work anymore.
But
It
you
just
know
doesn't.
what?
But it worked then.
It
That's
did.
the point.
It worked
did
then.
work then.
We're
And
not
you know
talking
what?
about
If we were,
2020.
let's get a time machine. We'll do this list 30 fucking years ago, and then that will make sense.
But here's what I'm gonna say: as a minority who got into reading,
The minority is the majority on this podcast.
I'm just gonna say this is true. This is wow. That's a rare feat on a comic book podcast.
It's happening all over the world too, motherfuckers.
So I'm gonna say this: as a minority who got into comic books, I'm just gonna be honest, guys. When I started reading comic books, there weren't a lot of characters I could relate to as a minority, and the X-Men metaphor did give me something like a home team to root for, because I knew what it was like to be a person of color and be treated differently.
Yes, sure.
So, to be fair, for some of us, that mutant metaphor was very important.
I'm not knocking
very
it.
much a reason why a lot of us are comic book readers.
I'm not knocking the mutant metaphor.
I know you're not knocking it. I'm just defending it. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Sure. No, again,
and I did like this book a lot, and I do agree. As a minority, we did need to evolve past the metaphor, but we cannot disregard how important the metaphor.
Come on, man.
was
We
for a
can
lot of
have
us.
the other history of the DC universe.
I
We can
know,
have
I can't. But you know what?
indigenous voices,
To be
once
fair,
a year.
Marvel did it
You
first.
guys got it now. Minorities are on top again.
I was the exact
You
opposite
get one
as a
book
minority.
every 5 years. Yeah. Real talk.
I was the exact opposite as a minority reading comics. The people who looked like me, I thought sucked. I was like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't a Thunderbird fan?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Warpath and his like
Braids
fucking,
and tassels all around, man.
Yeah,
at least you had Warpath. I had Bane. That was like, as a Latino,
Warpath is like in a Mardi Gras.
You don't
outfit
even
and
get
shit.
Bane in the movie. They swap him
No,
out.
they straight up whitewashed him. They
Not
whitewashed
anymore
him.
either. Not anymore either.
No,
Like,
that Tom King comic made him the whitest looking dude ever.
yeah, man.
I died. I died.
You're up.
Oh, you're
Shit
talking
now.
about Batman Bane.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Batman Bane. Batman Bane is like
I was
the
thinking the
Batman.
X-Men and shit. I'm
Right.
like, what the hell? I
No,
was like, what the hell is this guy? Who?
I know there's a lot of them. We're not going to
There are
name
a lot of
Banes.
Banes. There are a lot of Banes.
All right. I said it. I hate my fucking list.
Okay, that's fair.
So there you go.
So
There's
far,
my
so
number
do we.
5.
So
You're
So
right
far,
to
so
hate it,
good.
yeah.
I should hate it. Exactly. Who wants to go next? Sailor go or Jules go next?
I'll go next.
Go around.
I'll go next.
Yeah, we'll just
You guys
go.
want to like go around the clock face here?
Yeah, we
yeah,
can do that.
We'll wrap with Eli then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We did that last time, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. My pick number 5 is The Nightly News. Art
Oh
by
my God.
and words by Jonathan Hickman.
A terrible choice.
That is a great book that I hate.
Oh my god, I love this book so much. I love this book.
I can't even search for it. It's bringing up like Tom Brokaw and shit.
Just search the Nightly News Jonathan Hickman.
I got it. I found it.
Okay. This book is amazing. It's about a cult of people who have been wronged by errors in the media and just go postal on the media and wage out all war with the media because they are corrupting our world, which is very poignant to read now, considering it was written in 2007. Yes, the Nightly News. If you are a big fan of poignant political stories and hyperviolence, this is definitely the book for you.
It looks like the Tom Brokaw logo too.
Yeah, it does look like Tom Brokaw. Oh, it makes all sorts of jokes. It has all these awesome graphs and statistics. How disturbing!
Spoiler alert.
It's a Hickman book. Of course,
there's a plot point in here where one of these characters kills Walter Cronkite, or Walter Cronkite stand-in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it loves to point out how messed up our society's become. In that, if there is an incident, the police will be there in 4 minutes, the media will be there in 12, and SWAT won't show up for another 30. Things like that are throughout the book to point out to you that the media is there to control your mind, to sway your opinion, and to keep you as part of the herd as you follow this group of extremists taking out and dismantling the media as they see fit.
Man, this isn't even Hickman's best book. The one I said is a better Hickman book.
To be fair, I chose this book because it was my introduction to Hickman.
It's everybody's introduction to Hickman.
Not everybody. No, a lot of people came.
I didn't even ever read it. No, I don't even know. I never heard of it.
It's really good.
My first Hickman book was Pax Romana.
That's a great book. That was.
I think that's actually better than this.
I love this book. I like the use of multimedia. His art is very much something you don't normally see. I like this
because
book.
It's terrible.
And you know what?
Because Hickman is not an artist; he's a writer.
He's not an artist. He's a
bad
graphic
at
artist. He's not great at art. But that's the thing about comic books. When the story's good, the art doesn't have to be that great. And
it is for a top five.
I disagree with that.
It does for a top 5 list, at least.
Hey, man.
The art is very stylized. There's not a lot of a talented line work or anything while he's doing it.
No, not at all.
It fits the story really well, which one would expect from, it being the art by the same guy who's writing it. So,
yeah. I can name like 5 other Jonathan Hickman books that are
better. And the use of multimedia definitely made it. Yeah, well, it's my 5. I picked it as number 5.
I'm going to talk shit on it. That's the point of the show.
I knew you were going to talk shit on it. I love this book because of its use of multimedia, which is something I hadn't seen in a long time. The way he used it, and not only that, how he used it passe is that you could skip each graph and it constantly poked fun at the graphs he was making for each page. I really appreciated how much he broke the fourth wall in this book. It established him as a name on my list.
This wouldn't even touch my radar. Even if we were doing top 5,
that's fair. I love this book.
This probably wouldn't be on my top 5.
It's number 5 for me. Number 5 for me.
That's a mediocre choice, just like mine. Go ahead, Taylor. We're 2 for 2, 2 for Hickman. Terrible choices so far.
So I was going back and forth for my number 5 pick. It was either going to be All-Star Superman or the one that it actually is going to be, another one by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, whose name I'm still not sure if I'm saying right. But it's going to be Flex Mentallo, Man of Muscle Mystery.
That's actually not a bad pick.
That is not a bad
classic. But it is like a hoity-toity kind of pick.
So yeah, it's plucking the character that was introduced in Doom Patrol, who was a parody of the old Charles Atlas exercise ads. And that's not really important, though, because the reason why I picked this is because it's a great examination of comics and superheroes. Say what?
Whenever he flexes, everybody nearby has an orgasm.
Incorrect. But either way,
that has happened.
It's canon.
That's technically not his power, but whatever. He could do that if he wanted to. Apparently, his actual power is every time he flexes his muscles, he changes reality around him. But
amazing.
I like how Elastigirl was like, well, remember that power you did last season? Can you get around and do that again?
Please.
It's a great pick. It was definitely Grant Morrison at his top.
Yeah. Grant Morrison at their worst can be a real headache to read through, but this is an example of Grant Morrison at their best. It breaks down a lot of tropes from comics and from superheroes. There's one segment that's devoted to the underlying current of sex in comics. There's different parts that there we go.
Sorry.
It talks about the type of people who read comics and what they want to get out of it as they're reading it. Frank Wiley's art is...
Are you including Doom Force in that?
I am not. I am just including the 4-issue miniseries Flex Mentallo Man of Muscle Mystery.
Gotcha.
But I was going to go with this or All-Star Superman because that, I think, is a good kind of distillation of Superman and, by extension, superheroes there. But this one is... I think just a little bit better at doing that.
I think All Star's better. I
love All Star. All Star's great. But
I just don't.
This is more like to the point. I think about
sure
what comics are and what people read them.
He made this character. This came right off of his Doom Patrol run, which is obviously his greatest work of all time.
Probably, yeah.
And this book, I agree with Taylor in that it's better than All Star because Grant Morrison had no hinges to attach to the story. He could write it the way he wanted.
They could.
Excuse me. They could. Grant Morrison got to do exactly what they wanted to do on this book, whereas their Superman story is a Superman story. It is one of the best Superman stories, without a doubt. But it is still sort of in that Superman box, whereas this book is very much its own thing. It is hard to compare to anything else, honestly, other than Grant Morrison. Great choice.
Well, your pick is better than mine, or definitely better than Jules.
I knew you were going to say that. Just could not let that go.
Leroy, number 5.
Oh, it's on me. I thought we were going to go with whatever. Okay.
We're going to end with you got.
Number 5. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Civil War.
That's a great choice. That's a great choice.
I'm putting it on there. Don't care.
How dare you make it Civil War?
There you go. It's a great book.
It's almost like he anticipated me saying this.
I just have it in there because I was going to make the joke when I pick it.
Okay. That's fair. Because I know we were supposed to pick some, specialized,
academic.
I want to put a superhero comic on here because it deserves to be on here. I know we're supposed to pick the top 5 all time. This is the one comic, like anybody you talk to, anybody want to give me a comic to read, suggest a comic to me. You can just hand this to them, 6 issues, and it's a complete read beginning to end with consequences, with storylines, with characterization, some awesome just blockbuster moments, some quotables that people know word for word, and this story just lays on the hand. And reason it's on here, Gomer, because of that podcast we did on our 150th episode of Bullies. But we just did Civil War for like an hour and a half.
You could do this book.
We just broke down that comic and we just broke down who was right, Tony or Cap. And we actually had people like on both sides still arguing just in the comic and looking at
I was on that.
I really do appreciate about Civil War that like Civil War actually has a compelling versus, I guess, at the middle of it. It's not like a lot of events where you're basically spoon-fed, okay, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. It's actually a pretty compelling debate over whether, Cap is in the right for valuing civil liberties or Tony's in the right for wanting to do anything and everything to keep people safe.
And then
for better and for worse,
the time we were in. This book came out 2005, 2006.
Yes.
4 years.
The country was very divided. We were very divided
after 9/11.
Right. So still.
All of that play into play, and basically it's a metaphor for gun control, basically.
I think it's a metaphor for a lot of politics and how.
I always thought it was a metaphor for the Patriot Act.
Sure. I mean, that's the same thing, really. That's almost the same thing. People's rights, okay? But when you get to the end of Civil War, Tony and Cap are fighting it out with the rest of them, beating the shit out of each other. Who stops the fight?
The people.
The people stop the fight. This is about people who are above everyone else, people who get to make choices and be, I don't know, idols, icons, people to look up for, heroes, more, things like that. Not having more power than the people under them who are being impacted by their choices and their decisions. And because of that, while for as long as there will ever be a government, Civil War, the Marvel comic, will always be relevant. And it doesn't matter if it's about the Patriot Act or gun control or whatever. It can be about anything because it's about the government willing their control over the people while ignoring those people. You want to talk about it right now? How long they've been over money for the coronavirus shit, for send people money. Meanwhile, they're fighting this. They got Kappa and Iron Man up in Washington fighting over this bullshit while people losing their houses, losing all their shit. That's exactly what is happening right now.
They're forgetting what they're fighting for.
Exactly.
Like the people take their power back in Civil War at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about this. Like, if you look who did it, it was firefighters, policemen, medical. It was very specific people.
Real heroes. Real heroes.
Exactly.
The superhero. Yeah, the superheroes are the government in that story. They got their head up their asses, fighting aliens and otherworldly threats. X-Men going back in time and resetting whatever the fuck every other weekend, and they forgot about humanity, the people.
Yeah,
they can't relate to humanity anymore.
They cannot.
And the people, Cap standing down in the end, because of the people rising up and taking them down. That's just a reminder of why they're supposed to be fighting, who they're supposed to be fighting for.
Absolutely. One of the beautiful metaphors in the story that a lot of people I feel like miss out on is the fact that both sides are in the wrong in a lot of ways.
Oh,
and Lard does a great job of throughout the series showing you that there are fallacies on both sides. Well, at the end of the day, we get so divisive, we don't actually even have a conversation. We just let it come to blows immediately.
Yeah, both sides have valid points to their argument, but it's the failure to, compromise is what leads to the war, what leads to war.
Exactly.
It became about ego after a while. That's the thing.
Oh, absolutely,
dude. Yes.
And both sides were doing shady ass shit.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the best things about that story. Is Mark Millar makes it a point to make sure you could look at both sides and think anybody can pick either side because there's something wrong about each side. But by the end of the book, you come to the same conclusion the book does: is that they were all in the wrong for letting this go this far.
Yeah.
And even now with social media and everyone arguing over politics on Facebook and whatever, Twitter, losing friends and losing family members to stupid, ideals. That's what happens to Reed and Sue.
Yeah, this had serious fallout. This had serious fallout.
Literally separate in that story, right? And she go bang Namor,
And there's still.
Leroy thinks she banged Namor.
She did.
Oh,
she did.
Without a doubt.
She definitely did.
I'm not going to get into that, but
it was off panel, so I don't believe it. I ain't going to see it till I believe it.
But one thing that needs to be mentioned. So one thing that should be said about Civil War, though, regardless of its actual content, regardless of anything that's actually on the page, Civil War is one of the most important books that's going to be mentioned today because, for better or for worse, it did start the event cycle. It created the status quo that we are going through every single year because they always want to put out the next event to match Civil War's success.
And it made the Avengers a thing.
It
Before then, nobody gave a shit
the
about the
Avengers back into the spotlight in a time where Iron Man was about to pop off in the theaters and start that whole thing. So
because Marvel was all about Spider-Man, X-Men. That's nobody else cared. But now they were forced to crank out Avengers stories, and this was really the first major one that people gravitated to.
Yeah. And they're still covering these themes right now in the Champions and other young readers books over at Marvel. They have the Outlawed event, which is basically a superhuman registration act for minors, which it's great. It's wonderful.
It is. It's really good.
Excellent choice, except it should have been higher. Go ahead, Eli. Number 5.
All right, my number 5. Fuck it. I'm going to be that guy. This is Skin by Brendan McCarthy and Peter Morgan. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen this. It was banned for a little while. They could not get publishing. I saw it in a ad in the back of Heavy Metal magazine. That's what caught my attention back in the day. It said it was banned. I think 2000 AD was supposed to publish it because Brendan McCarthy was drawing Judge Dredd at the time, but they refused to publish it. And then, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Match it. And so Kevin Eastman, who was running heavy metal, ended up putting it out.
He put that out. Yeah.
He put it out. I ran into a comic shop in the underground section, saw it sitting there. I'm like, holy shit, I heard about this. Read it, and what it is, you understand why it's controversial.
It got banned. Yep, it's very controversial.
It pushes a lot of buttons, but basically it follows the story of a young skinhead in the UK. He has this birth defect from, what's this drug called? Thalidomide. So it sheds light on this epidemic that happened in Europe. This drug was given to pregnant women to sort of relieve morning sickness, and it caused a rash of birth defects.
Oh, wow.
And it made kids come out. They were almost like dwarves and really tiny arms, like useless arms. And it's about this kid with this birth defect who becomes a skinhead. And it's just follows his fucked up, miserable life and the shit that he does. But he ends up getting revenge on the drug company at the end, which is pretty awesome. So this sort of falls into almost like a slasher horror movie genre. And that's why
Peter Milligan.
Yeah,
it's very much a great Peter Milligan story in terms of it is an anti-hero book through and through.
Yes.
You have no reason to root for this guy, but you can't wait to see him get his revenge.
Yeah.
Story.
He's a skinhead. He does some very, very bad things. He's not a hero at all.
He's not a good guy.
He's a drunk. He takes drugs. I think he sexually assaults somebody at some point, but at the end he takes revenge on the drug company in a very horrific, awesome way. It's very disturbing. There's been a few metal bands and punk bands that have written songs about this book. And it's just, I've always loved this story. Always hoped there would be a movie, but I don't think they ever will.
One of those comic books are comic books because you can tell stories of any kind.
And that's why I was like, I was going to choose okay, which Alan Moore book am I going to choose for myself?
Yeah, right.
Blah, 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 blah. I kept but you know what? This is, this is, you can do these stories. Comic books are a venue to do stories that no one else will tell. So that's why I chose it, and I think that it represents that whole point that, you can tell stories that aren't marketable, but still tell them, and people will find them and read them. And, like I did with this book, even though it was banned, they banned it, and it finally made out. And I think Dark Horse, they reprinted it in a collection of Brendan McCarthy stuff. So, but I don't know about the original run. I have that original book somewhere. But it's just a fucked up story.
Well, that's the best pick so far, and I've never read it.
I have. It's really fucked up read. I'm a guy who likes bullets though, so I understand where he's coming from on this.
Don't skip me. My number 4 pick is The Underwater Welder.
Ooh, that almost made my list.
I never read that. Is that Lemire?
Yeah,
I did.
Lemire, drawn and written. It's about an underwater welder named Jack Joseph, who's working on an oil rig. His wife's expecting their first child, and he encounters a supernatural presence that basically puts him into contact with the ghost of his father. The themes here, like relationships between fathers and sons, and how memory and reality are kind of at conflict in a lot of ways when it comes to relationships. And it's one of the most personal experiences I've ever had with a piece of fiction of any kind, any medium. As I myself dealt with, being a dad and how my dad was and just things like that, in the context of being a parent and having a parent. Basically, though, this is like my smaller press indie pick, because I have a lot of. I was gonna put Akira at this spot.
Oh man,
but Akira didn't work. I could have put a whole lot in this spot, but I wanted to spotlight Jeff Lemire because he's great.
Yeah,
this is probably my favorite of his, and it's underrated in my opinion. Not enough people.
I've never read this one, but I am glad that Jeff Lemire made it onto somebody's list here.
Yeah. I can't think of another Jeff Lemire book that even comes close to this. Trillium is good, but
City?
what?
Essex County's pretty good.
Yeah, Essex County's good. Essex County's good. But yeah, no beef there because no one else has read it. Jules,
I never read it. Yeah, so
I win. I'll send you a copy, Eli. I have a copy. It's wonderful. Number 4, Jules.
Okay. Number 4. This is my only DC book, and it's not even technically a DC book. It's a Vertigo book, but I'm gonna do this anyways. Day Tripper.
Oh shit.
By Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. Very much like it is very much a slice of life story. Every issue you follow the life of this man as he dies at a different age. A guy who, for a living, writes obituary, and someday wants to write is he a famous writer like his father? Often compares his life to his father. Often thinks about his life in comparison to his son's. You watch him die in every issue at a different age, at a different point where he could have taken a different turn. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
It's super gripping. I mean, I'm in tears at the end of every single issue as this came out. It's one of my most prized possessions. It's one of those comic books I literally hand to everybody who doesn't know why I read comics, because not just all superheroes and stuff. This is one of those, as a Latino, that speaks to me very deeply because it talks about the elements of legacy, heritage, and culture, friends and family, and how deep our connections are to people within life and death. An absolute beautiful spectacle of comics.
Solid pick.
I absolutely recommend this to everybody I can meet.
I have a wager that this is on Taylor's list as well, but this is a great book. It's a sci-fi book in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's got these weird sci-fi elements that are very subtle, but it still works in that context. But yeah, everything Jules said, I can't argue with. It's wonderful. It's a cool book. Have y'all read this, Eli?
I have not. No, I have not.
No, I haven't read it.
Man.
I couldn't recommend it highly enough. It is.
Yeah.
It's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever read, to be honest.
It is. I've cried multiple times reading this book in different issues. This is not that you cry at the end. You may cry a couple times as you get to the end.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that one, man.
I had to. You know, Underwater Welder almost made this, and I compared the two because of the father-son relationship.
Because of the way it deals with those bonds. Yeah. Taylor.
Okay.
What are we on, 4?
My number 4 spot. So our criteria about not having entire story runs on here. At first, I thought they meant, oh man, I can't do Sandman because I have a hard time picking one volume of Sandman. Mm-hmm. So if I have to pick one volume of Sandman, it's going to be Sandman Overture.
Oh yeah,
that's a newer one, isn't it?
That is.
It is the latest one that's part of the main series. It's basically volume 0. Mm-hmm. It edges out the other books in the series because it has J.H. Williams III drawing it, and he should draw everything. It is some of the best artwork I have ever seen in my life. He's drawing the trippiest, most surreal shit. Neil Gaiman was interviewed about this, and he kept talking about how, like, I asked J.H. to draw impossible things, and he kept drawing them. But yeah, Sandman is like a great look into stories and the way that we tell stories and the way that stories affect us. And I dearly love the whole run, and this, I think, is the best part of it. So that's my pick.
It's easy to argue against Sandman because it is, like you said, it's a run. I think you have to have a little.
I'm not picking the whole run. I'm just picking.
But even to enjoy it. Go ahead, Leroy.
I was just saying it counts because it is a trade.
No, it counts.
A trade.
I'm not saying it doesn't count. I'm saying that in terms of being able to understand the scope and the presence and the technique, you know, the way that they're telling these stories, I think you have to have read Sandman.
You know, but that's what's cool about this book. Go ahead.
If you're just thumbing through this book and looking at the art, it's still in my top 5.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. And I'm going to say this. This is a great introduction to people who never read Sandman in the first place.
I disagree. I think
I use this book to get people to read Sandman because I had it more readily available and I had to find my Sandman books. Yeah. And this does a good job of introducing the world and paints this illustrious idea of what you're going to read coming forward. And I did feel bad because once they read that and they assumed all the art was going to be like that, I had to explain that it was a different time when Sandman was actually made. That book came way after, but it does do a really good job of showing you the world that you could find in the Sandman universe.
And now it's got its own universe.
This is the only volume of Sandman where the art is on par with the writing.
Oh,
so
without
it
a
is
doubt.
easily the
without
best.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, 100% the art wins that. But I don't know.
Well, fuck you, Gomer.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Too late, it's on.
You can play a drinking game every time somebody says
I'm
fuck you, Gomer
not
on the
gonna
podcast.
like deny anybody's pick because then they get to pick another one. I'm like, well, then
That's
I
okay.
want to pick
You get
another
the shit
one.
on mine. You get the shit on mine. You can finally shit on my next pick. Okay. My number 4, Batman Year One.
Oh, man. How many different Batman books are we gonna have on here? You pick Year One?
Year One.
man,
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Now, here's the thing. Batman Year One is an awesome book and it's done by Frank Miller. But if you really think about it, it's basically Frank Miller's Daredevil run, just condensed into 4 issues.
Exactly.
It is
But that's the thing. You can't pick Daredevil. Daredevil doesn't count on this book. Somebody was doing Batman Year One. You know?
So this is just your backdoor pick for Frank Miller's Daredevil.
Exactly. So I'm cutting corners, you know. But the main thing about this book is that it's not even a Batman book. It's a Commissioner Gordon book.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fucking awesome. Like, you go through the whole thing about Commissioner Gordon, and you realize that he's basically on the same level as Batman, but he needs this, you know, crazed figure. And the thing is, the ending of it is so awesome.
He needs a RoboCop suit with bunny ears to really pull all that out. You know,
we're gonna pretend like that don't exist. We retcon that out of existence.
No. Yeah. Here's the thing. What I'm gonna say about this book is, Dark Knight Returns famously gave Batman his balls back. Mm-hmm. This book made Commissioner Gordon a character worth reading about.
I don't know about that.
No, he was so awesome in this.
He was so awesome in this book. I'm gonna say this as a reader. As a reader, I never gave a flying fuck about Commissioner Gordon. He could be the old fat man in the movie.
When his daughter got murdered, and he's walking around naked.
That's the only time I ever cared. Batgirl made Gordon relevant until this book. This book made Gordon relevant for the sake of being Gordon.
Yeah,
this book gave Gordon balls. And you couldn't have that Gotham show if this book never happened.
Oh, that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah, this book is part of
that's kind of hurt your argument, though. But okay.
This book is part of my Batman triumvirate. It's this, Dark Knight Returns, and Long Halloween, where I'd have a really hard time picking which one of those is my absolute favorite. But this is a stellar pick. The artwork in here is probably the most consistently good, I would say, of those three. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it does a great job telling a grounded story about Batman kind of finding his footing as a superhero.
And that's the thing. In this book, he's not even really a superhero. Because, in every other Batman story, he's indestructible. He can't be killed prep time on this, prep time. He fucks up all the time in this book.
Yeah,
that's what I don't like about it.
That's what makes it so awful about it. He fucks up all the time. You know?
That's what I don't like about it.
And Eli, you actually made me appreciate this book even more now than I did then.
Oh, yeah?
Because you kept talking about we kept talking about Martin Scorsese. Another banned topic on the podcast.
Star Wars is now on limits now again, which is great.
Right.
You guys are back talking about Star Wars.
In provisions.
Until Kenobi comes out.
Right. But the reason you make me like this book so much because you kept talking about Scorsese this, Scorsese that. So I'm like, fuck, let me watch some Scorsese movies. And it just happened to be Taxi Driver. I think it was on HBO Max or some shit.
Joker. You watched Joker.
Driver. Basically, I watched Joker. But when I saw Travis Bickle walking around with the army jacket, walking down through the prostitution, I was like, oh shit. That's where Frank Miller got this shit from Batman Year One. It was the same exact thing. Matter of fact, even the little girl, Holly Robinson, that was Jamie Foster. Yep. And I didn't make the connection. Even when she said, like, how old are you? As old as you want me to be. I'm like, oh shit. He's drawing from like real crime noir.
And he is really stealing from some of the greats.
It's all homage.
That's what you call it when it actually works. It's an homage. If it don't work,
I mean, legitimately, the ripoff, but the distinction between a ripoff and an homage is how well you do it.
Yes, how much it sells, how well it sells.
Well, no. Also, Year One is sort of kind of underrated as far as how influential you know, Batman, like the Batman movies have taken from comics. This one doesn't really get. They always talk about the Killing Joke or Dark Knight Returns, but they don't ever really talk about Year One and how it has influenced, you know, Nolan's trilogy.
Batman Begins is basically an adaptation of this book.
Yeah.
And
my favorite of the Nolan trilogy, but we won't go there.
Yeah, Nolan's canceled.
I actually agree. I think you're the only other person I've ever met who actually likes Batman Begins the best.
Well, there you go. There you go.
After today, Nolan's canceled. He hates his own employer, so we're not even going to go there. Awesome. Not a bad choice. Again, there's 3 Batman books that you can choose from that could make this list. Leroy chose one. I chose a different one. I'm sure Taylor chose a different one. Eli, number 4.
Okay, my number 4. I was trying really hard not to, like, you know, suck Frank Miller's dick this whole list. So,
I was having a hard time not sucking Alan Moore's dick. So
yeah,
awesome.
I was like, okay,
really
damn.
close to our mouths.
Which one didn't he write? But I had to keep it real. And this isn't because of Frank Miller. It's because of Jeff Darrow, Hard Boiled.
Nice.
Yeah. I had to get Jeff Darrow on this list because his art is insane.
Great choice.
This is basically the sci-fi, robot assassin. This is a futuristic dystopian future of corporations warring against each other, using robot assassins to take each other out. The art is crazy. You should put that other cover with the head blown off.
Gomer, how far down do you have to scroll to get past all the John Woo movies?
I put in comic. It came up with a bunch of eggs.
Okay.
Hard boiled. Yeah, not to be confused with John Woo's Hard Boiled, which is probably an influence on this book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the cover. And if you look on the back cover, it's him shooting a guy getting shot in the head.
It's very well done, that cover.
Yeah. I had to get Jeff Darrow on here. Frank Miller tried to get Jeff Darrow to join the big 2, but in the end said, no, man, you deserve better. I don't know if it's better or worse, but no, don't be weighed down by the big 2. You should do whatever the fuck you want. And that's how they did Hard Boiled. That's how they did Big Guy. Jeff Darrow eventually started doing artwork for the Matrix movies, and then did Doc Frankenstein and Shaolin Cowboy over And so I just had to mention Jeff Darrow. The book is pretty simple, basic sci-fi. It covers that Blade Runner, motif of the AI realizing is it a sentient being or not, becoming self-aware, and having dreams and all that.
Yeah,
it's just a crazy, violent, awesome book, and one of my favorites of all time. I had to keep it real, and it ain't just because Frank Miller.
Choice. No, it's a great choice. It really is. It's a great choice
because of Darrow's art.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All your other reasons are terrible.
And you can see, if you watch the Matrix movies, you see panels from Hard Boiled in the movie.
Yes.
That billboard with the gun on it, and just crazy.
Well, the storyboard carried over almost 100%, man. There's a book where the Matrix, the art of the Matrix, and it's basically all of those Darrow storyboards.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me. Like, he had the whole movie done in art. I could have filmed that damn movie. He did such a good job.
When I watched the Matrix, I was like, damn, this reminds me of Hard Boiled and shit out of Heavy Metal, and so. Yeah,
great book.
It's a good choice. Anyone else read this? I know Jules read this.
I've definitely read this.
I read everything Jeff Darrow puts a pen on. Man.
Same. He's one of those names.
Hey, Jules, just curious. I'm curious, Jules. Has there been anything said so far that you have not read? Because I'd be more surprised by that.
Yeah, not yet. I read a lot of comic books, guys. I did not have friends until high school. All I did
I didn't
was
read Skin. That's the only one so far.
I've read Skin. I am that guy. I read everything. I go through. I was that guy you would see at the comic book store as a kid. I had the step stool, and I would literally just be going through every issue looking for something I haven't read yet.
Well, God bless.
Good pick, just to get Darrow on the list.
That was a great pick.
We're up to number 3. My number 3 is Civil War. We already talked about it.
Great.
I love it for so many reasons.
I was going to shit on me for this pick. I was like, Iron Man and Captain America.
I know, Civil War's good shit.
I love this book for everything that it is. It's the quintessential comic book event. I love events. Events drive the industry. Events are, in my opinion, the reason to continue at the big two. There is no other reason to read big two books except that they exist within their own self-contained shared universes. And the events are that, So, yeah, that's my pick. Awesome. We've already
Great pick.
it.
Great pick.
Nothing else to say. Next, Jules, number 3.
So, number 3, piggyback off what you just said. This book is very near and dear and special to me. It is reaffirmed why I've always been a Marvel reader. It is Marvels by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. I adore this book.
Okay.
The art is amazing.
It's not though.
Oh,
it's Alex Ross.
Alex Ross is great at everything except actually making his art sequential. It looks great, but it's not comic book art. It's comic book cover art.
Gomer,
there you are, Gomer.
It is.
Get the fuck out, Gomer.
I love this book.
It is. It is.
You see that? Where's it? Right back there. Right back there. Oh, you're covered.
What, you want a better cover? I love that cover.
No. I was saying behind me. I got it out like right there. That's Batman and Boba Fett. Alex Ross.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's sick. But him doing interiors is just not good. I'm sorry. It's not.
Regardless, the story in this is amazing. I'm a huge Kurt Busiek fan. I love the whole perspective of a photographer who was alive to watch the beginning of the Marvel Universe. The metaphors throughout as he gets older and he has kids and he doesn't understand mutants until he meets one, to him remembering when everyone hated the Marvels, to they loved them, to they hated them again. The constant shifting of public opinion, him working for J. Jonah Jameson and just knowing that politics and papers are just smear campaigns to keep people.
You know what this felt like to me? Marvel Circle Jerk. Marvel Comics Circle Jerk. We would like to pat ourselves on our own back. We're going to just jerk off real quick. Alex Ross, will you do something for us interiors? Thanks.
Actually, this is because Kurt Busiek is a big Alex Ross fan and couldn't get him. It becomes better, yes. He just wanted to get him work, and he got him in
Kingdom Come on your list, then?
No, Kingdom Come is not on my list.
Well, then you picked the wrong damn book.
No, I didn't. I picked this book because if you know anything about the Marvel Universe or you didn't, this is a great book to read because it gives you a totally different perspective on why the Marvel Universe is unique and compared to the DC Universe. Is because it is a shared universe with us. Because people matter in the Marvel Universe. These are people. And this does a really great job of conveying what the Marvel Universe is really like in relation to readers and people.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Marvels. I think it's
good. I love it. I think it's a great book.
I think the real reason Jules picked this is because you get Alex Ross drawing basically an upskirt of Giant Man.
Oh, Giant Man. Oh, yeah. That's definitely my favorite part.
It always comes back to that, Jules.
It does. It always comes back to my love for Ant-Man.
Leroy, did you ever read Marvels?
I read it like
you read Kingdom Come too, and you like Kingdom Come, don't you?
We love Kingdom Come.
Yes.
Well, see, this is the wrong.
I had a hard time.
It's okay to like both, Gomer. This is a fine pick. I do like the whole idea. This does, I think, a better job than Kingdom Come of getting across the story of a guy who is just a regular person amongst all these godlike figures. They kind of run with that a little bit in Kingdom Come, but this does do that better.
Way better. Him thinking Peter Parker's a schmo, but also wants to vindicate Spider-Man is one of my favorite parts of the book.
It's all right.
Him meeting Gwen and trying to, clear Spider-Man's name after Captain Stacy's death, only to, hate on Peter throughout the story. I just love how fallible the main character of the story is in terms of his biases at the beginning and throughout the story.
I'm not a fan of any of these sort of point of view sort of things of the Marvel Universe.
I loved it. It was
to me
very fun book. It is one of my childhood favorites. I'm a big fan of this book.
To your credit, I was considering picking this too, but I did not.
Well, there you go, Jules.
There
I did not.
I will take that.
I did not, Gomer. Is that okay? I didn't pick it.
That's fine. I don't care. Taylor, number three.
Okay. My number 3, because I couldn't very well in good conscience have done a top 5 without Watchmen on it somewhere. So here's where Watchmen is going for me.
Yeah.
Way too high. Way too high.
Way too.
Go fuck yourself, Gomer. But either way,
This should be.
Watchmen is the quintessential deconstruction of superheroes. It did more. So we mentioned earlier Civil War having a big impact on the industry. Arguably, Watchmen had an even bigger one because this one
it did.
Yeah, it ushered in the Dark Age, or at least was a major part of that, the biggest part of that. It's steeped in a lot of the nuclear paranoia from the later end of the Cold War. It is kind of ironic that the Cold War only outlasted this book by a few years when the book was talking about how like we are all inevitably going to kill each other. But that does not do a lot to detract from it for me.
Feeding into irrational fear is also an overall theme of the book. I wouldn't say a main theme, but my favorite part of what you just said is Alan Moore wanted to do the exact opposite. That his point of this book was to show just how juvenile comics are, and if you matured them, just how terrible they would be, at least the characters. But it was also a commentary on the comic book fan as well, and that's my favorite angle of Watchmen, is the commentary on the arrested development of the comic book fan.
Which you can tell by Rorschach. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like every comic book fan that kind of barely knows this book thinks he's a hero. You know,
there's no heroes in Watchmen.
He was a racist, homophobic asshole. You know?
Yeah, there are no heroes in Watchmen. Everybody is either like Leroy said, a bigot, or is just so impotent that
literally,
exactly,
literally impotent.
You have Owlman, who represents the impotence of man. You have Ozymandias, who represents the far left. Rorschach, who represents the far right. And, of course, Dr. Manhattan is that God worship we all have within us, that want for something superior, that want to find something that is better than us.
And the way Alan Moore sort of presents all of those characters to you, Dr. Manhattan doesn't care about you.
No,
God doesn't care about you. What Alan Moore is saying. Yeah.
The only one who accomplishes anything at all in this book is Ozymandias, the most sociopathic of them all.
Exactly.
Even convinces Dr. Manhattan to stay out of the way. Right.
Yeah. As long as God is fooled and out of the way, he can do whatever he wants. There's more to that, though, too. For me, Watchmen stands as a piece of fiction that can only be told the way it's told in the comic book format. The way the background colors change, the way Rorschach's word balloons change after he has an incident.
Where there's so many details behind, like in the background. That
yes.
Like
the nine-panel page layouts that are only broken during important moments, things like that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I might debate that,
job.
But I won't. I'll say
this book has this book displays a real mastery of comic books as a medium. Like you have Fearful Symmetry, the chapter about Rorschach being arrested, where it's a mirror image panel layout from beginning, like going backwards and forward. That chapter where you're seeing the different timelines. You can spot that if you've got a keen eye, because they put a lot of clocks in there and we can see that, these are not happening at the same time. That is not something that you could do in any other medium. You couldn't do it in a book. You couldn't do it in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. I'll spoil it now. Watchmen's my number one pick. I consider it.
I knew it. I
consider it to be the
greatest. Are you saying mine is too high when yours is even higher?
I meant high. High, low.
Meant too low.
Yeah, meant too low.
I'll just be honest. It's mine too. So
I knew it. I can't wait till we get to our number one.
Yeah, I consider it to be the greatest piece of graphical fiction ever created.
Right. I know when we made this, I knew it was going to be Gomer's number one. I already knew it.
Alan Moore is a genius. He is a misunderstood genius. People keep a crap on him being a weirdo.
On this comic.
He's not been wrong yet.
Right.
Maybe that makeup he's got for his new movie, where he's the moon or whatever, but I hadn't seen that yet either.
Well, here's a spoiler. I didn't get any Alan Moore on my list.
Oh, I have a top 5.
I don't have Watchmen.
I have a top 5 with an honorable mention. They're all Alan Moore.
Yeah, I was really trying. Then I'm like, you know what? Everybody's gonna pick Watchmen. I'm gonna pick something else. Then I'm like,
you really did go
what
all
other Alan
in
Moore
on being
book?
contrarian here, then, huh?
Yeah. What other Alan? I was like, you know what? And then I just started thinking, and then it just got me thinking of how pretentious Alan Moore can be.
Yeah.
Like,
You're absolutely right.
You're saying like, oh, Watchmen can only be told in comic book form, but
For
Watchmen
someone who
Watchmen ain't all in comic book form. He's got like newspapers and novels and shit in that book. It's like,
but for someone who looks like
From Hell. Have you read From Hell?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
From Hell is 1,000 pages long.
It's really long.
And then if you get the trade, he has like another 500 pages of anecdotes and appendixes about what the story's about. Like, like you had 500 pages to tell a story, and then you had to write a novel about what that story was about. Like, come on, dude.
I like
yeah, for somebody who looks like the king of the hobos, Alan Moore can be quite pretentious.
Yeah.
I think we triggered Eli with it.
Yeah, so
I'm like, triggered. I feel like I want to go off, but it's hard to because Eli's telling the truth. He's not wrong. That there's
not wrong. He's not wrong.
And that's why Alan Moore did not make my list.
But my thing is this: Alan Moore in 2020 is pretentious. Back then in 1985, I don't think he was.
Yeah.
No, he definitely was.
No, he's not.
Definitely was.
Well, it was a different time. We're saying he's pretentious now, but in 1985, I feel like he was bringing some truth to the comic industry that none of us ever thought about. But now in 2020, yes, we can look back on all his work and say those things.
He was right, though.
I'm not saying he's not a smart guy, and I'm not saying Watchmen or Killing Joke or any of his stories are bad. I'm just saying
he's very full of himself.
Yes.
It is. It'd be interesting to like track where in his writing career he went completely up his own ass. But that being said, Watchmen is still a number 3 pick, and I guess we'll leave it there for now.
Actually, I can answer that. He
stole
lost
all his money.
Yeah, I was gonna say he lost it when they made that god awful League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, and he said his comic books should never be made into movies, and they went on a tear of making all of his comic books into movies. All of which he hates, actually. He hates all of them.
I heard he hasn't seen them.
His name is not like the TV show Watchmen. His name is not even on it. It's just
not even mentioned. Yeah.
Gibbons' name is on it, but only because he actually did some of the art in the show.
Yeah.
Good on Dave Gibbons.
Yeah, good on Dave.
He just lays back in the cut and just waits for people to shit all over Alan Moore. No one ever shits on Gibbons. He's like, I was just following orders.
Yeah, I can't think of anything I shit on Gibbons for.
He's like, damn, I had to draw for that motherfucker.
All right, who's next?
Okay, I guess I'm next. Okay, where we at? Number 3? Let me see.
Yes,
Okay, you all are gonna hate my pick.
Oh, I love it already.
Okay, Kingdom Come.
That's good.
That's mine.
Good pick.
That's mine too.
Aaron Busiak and Alex Ross are well represented in the number 3 slot, it seems. So
look, Kingdom Come is such a awesome story. After like really thinking about it, I was like, Kingdom Come just really like hit me. First off, let's just explain what Kingdom Come is. Kingdom Come is a telling of the Book of Revelation with superheroes. That's exactly what it is. So, and it's exactly that whole picture, man. It's just so fucking awesome. KC Superman, just
Alex
so
Ross, Alex Ross,
the whole
drawing a comic,
right? And what Alex Ross was saying, like the whole thing was really his idea. Like all the characters we had there, all the names was idea. Damian Wayne actually makes his debut in this book. Nobody even notices that he's the head of the League of Assassins. If you want to break it down, Civil War is basically Civil War before Civil War.
This is 10 in a lot of ways before Civil War.
It's the same beast. Look at that. It's the same beast that they're going through. Like I said, you got Batman and Superman, just Superman. And just like we talked about Alan Moore, how he was talking about, we can say he's pretentious, but this book was also a commentary on comic books at the time also. Especially in the dark era of the 90s, because you have the old school superheroes, Superman, Wonder Woman, who everybody think is outdated, irrelevant. You got these new superheroes who are just fighting in the street for no reason, killing people, just blowing up the street. They don't really care. And it's basically what the 90s heroes like Cable and Deadpool and everybody else and Spawn were doing at the time. So it was a direct commentary on that. Like, oh yeah, you want these guys, and Superman is basically telling you, like, you don't want us anymore. And that's why I'm just going to leave his daughter. But he realized that no matter how far away he gets away from it, they need him. So he's back. And it's just, like I said,
I still have a problem with.
We have a podcast up on it, whole hour. We talk about an hour and a half of Kingdom Come. Go listen to it. It's on there. So
man, that's the best part of coronavirus was when y'all have to talk about.
We had to re-strategize.
Yeah.
We had to rebrand.
I mean, Kingdom Come is my number 3 as well. Basically what Leroy said. I mean, it's a very biblical story, and it also cements comic books or the superheroes as a modern day mythology. These stories are relevant and can teach lessons about life, and like the Bible or like any religion. These are characters that face challenges and the good and evil and right or wrong choices. Superheroes. This book made superheroes like relevant as far as a mythology, modern day mythology. And back to what you were saying about how Alan Moore can be pretentious, and this book is kind of pretentious as well, but it does it through the art. You see like the panel of like Chun, like the one character, but she's in that Chun-Li pose, and just they're referring to pop culture images that we would recognize in pop culture, commenting on pop culture, commenting on us as fans and how we view these stories, and that goes back, that ties into how people view religion. And it's so layered with so many, themes and ideas about, what are the right thing to do? What's the right thing to do? And Superman, it's an ultimate ode to Superman and why the world needs a hero to watch over them.
I'm changing my number 2 to this.
Just to give it hope, just to give them hope, because when Superman quits, the whole world falls to shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's his return is when they but it's not just him. He needs help. He needs Wonder Woman. She's the military strategist. He needs Bruce. Batman's the scientist. He can't do it on his own. And it's like, instead of being just one deity, it's that we need everybody's point of view matters. It's not just one religion or one God or whatever. It's everybody's point of view matters, and we all are in this together to succeed. So,
and first off, when we talk about all this, relevance and philosophies, let's just talk about the Superman versus Captain Marvel fight.
Yeah,
right. How fucking awesome that was!
It's awesome. It was awesome.
Like that panel just alone, Shazam. That shit was just fucking awesome, man. That alone.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the first story to really do the whole spam Shazam thing as a weapon.
Yeah, it was.
They did it in the Justice League cartoon later, but.
Yeah, actually, recently, Alex Ross shit all over DC for stealing all of his ideas out of this book, with Wonder Woman 84 having that suit, recently using that Superman costume, and that Shazam. He's like, they never give me credit, but I definitely created all those things.
Well, yeah.
And,
like I said, Damian Wayne was here first.
Yeah, Damian Wayne. He's like, I don't ever get credit for creating Damian Wayne or that fight or giving that Shazam that little ability, and I've seen it in a movie and an animated cartoon, and he's like, and I'm never credited with these things, never based on or inspired by Alex Ross. Yeah. He just
this was your number 3 as well, Eli.
Yeah. I mean, it is a deconstruction of superheroes.
Yeah,
I had Dark Knight Returns as my number 2. I'm going to change it to Kingdom Come. I think it's but yeah,
you're such a waffly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, come on, man, that deserves to be on this list.
Dark Knight
Returns. It's kind of ironic because you're taking what is arguably the best Batman story and replacing it what is arguably the best Superman story.
I don't know if it's a great Superman story. I think I still like All Star a little.
That's
bit.
the other one you would pick.
This book, I was.
It's the best Justice League story.
Oh yeah.
Without a doubt.
As far as comic books, I wasn't the biggest Superman fan, but I think this is my favorite Superman story.
Without a doubt.
Because it makes him matter. It makes him matter and what he means. He was when you think about it, Superman was the very first comic book superhero. You could talk about Tarzan and stuff, but no, that motif of the guy in the cape with superpowers saving the day, he was the first.
Yeah.
And that's what this book is about. Like what Leroy said, this was at the time in the 90s is all about big guns and big tits and and violence and blood. And there's no need for those old time heroes. Superman came back and reminded everybody, no, you need this shit. You need that hope.
And pointing to that is that during this time, Superman was blue or red and not Superman at all when this book came out. And this definitely brought Superman back to
They
fans.
killed Superman.
They killed
in the
Superman.
90s.
Yeah.
They thought he wasn't relevant. They were like, we can't tell
They
him.
were like, yeah.
Kill him.
Yeah.
So this was definitely the book for me as a comic book reader. I remember like I hated Blue Superman. I couldn't read it. They killed him. They brought him back. They made him immortal. It was an awful story. And then this book came out, and I felt like, man, I actually wanted to read Superman, but Superman's like not worth reading anymore. And they totally started him back over, and they totally rode the coattails of this book. And to me, this is the Superman story. Not make my list, but it is the Superman story.
So Dark Knight Returns was my number 2. It's great.
It's a great book. It's a great book.
This kind of did the same thing Watchmen did in terms of trying to grow up comics, but it was actually Frank Miller's intention to sort of grow up comics, not, be a...
Which is why he's old in the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to go with Kingdom Come for my number 2. Go
Ah.
ahead with your number 2, Jules.
My number 2 is God Loves Man Kills.
I've already commented on that.
Yeah, you commented on that, but this book was growing up before all of those other books came out. Yep. This is also the first time Magneto was a good guy. Sure. Something we're used to now. This is what introduced that idea.
And that's the thing, but I think that there's so many tropes that this book created. That's why we have a hard time looking back at this book. It's like that first time you hear a joke and everybody has repeated that joke, but a lot of stuff started here in
God. A lot of stuff started here.
I mean, this book, if you were going to hand somebody a book to let them know what the X-Men are and what they're all about, it should be this one. Okay. This one breaks down like the metaphor and everything else that they stand for better than anything else.
Absolutely.
This would have been my X-Men book. This would have been the one that I chose.
This is my X-Men book. This was my first X-Men book.
I mean, it's still Hawks and Pox, but
I stand by that comment I made that the metaphor is outdated and it's offensive now.
I understand where you're coming from in that, but I'm gonna say as a person of color, this is why this is one of the best of all time. This is
difficult for me to speak from that point of view.
Because not only does this exemplify the metaphor, this exemplifies the metaphor as transcending just being race. Going into the political side of things with Reverend Stryker, the metaphor grows beyond just being race in this. This is for anyone who feels subjugated beyond racial prejudice, any prejudice of any kind, being used and manipulated by the media the whole time they do that.
Like you said.
And by religion. This uses that whole idea that a spokesperson could use what people think is a good idea and manipulate that to get you to hate people. This is hate as a weapon through media, not just against race, but anybody. And that's to me what makes this book timeless.
You can make a strong argument that Reverend Stryker is the scariest villain the X-Men have ever had because he's the only one who could be real. He's the only one who you can see prop up in the real world and be like, I've seen exactly this guy and his ilk before, Yeah.
And that's why this book is still relevant, Gomers, because we're living through this book now. We have lived through this book very recently.
I'm
not saying what you're saying about the metaphor, but at the time this book was written, it was very poignant. And it's actually scary that this book stayed so relevant. Well, the metaphor, I agree, we outgrew the metaphor as a whole. This book itself, we never really outgrew because we
just got a director's cut within the last 4 months.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, and I get that, but I still stand.
Gomer's talking about the story, the fiction, fiction side of things.
I understand. I understand
that. The ideas never get old, but unless you keep telling the same story over.
Now, here's the reason why it didn't make my list because honestly, I thought the art was kind of
Oh, it is.
But for the
art
time,
is
even for the time, we saw some great artists at the time. But the thing is, they actually originally wanted Neil Adams for the
they wanted Neil Adams to do
it. That would have been great.
Now Neil Adams would have drew this. This might be number 1 for me.
Actually, the reason they didn't go with Neil Adams is because he had drawn the whole thing, and the original ending had Magneto dying. And they just decided they didn't want to kill Magneto, and Neil didn't want to redraw the whole fucking thing again.
Wow.
So this is why they switched artists.
You couldn't just draw the last page?
Yeah, he didn't want to do it. Well, he didn't want to compromise because he liked the ending, killing Magneto. And the idea originally was that this was not supposed to be canon.
Once they read it and they wanted it to be canon, Neil didn't want to do anything with the book. He didn't want to redraw it. He didn't want it to be canon. He thought it was so good the way it was done originally.
Now, Garber, did I not say this about Neil Adams earlier? I'm just saying. It's a callback. Anyway, old show.
Not bad. Not a bad pick. Again, I still have problems with X-Men as a whole in the reflection of the modern day, but
that I understand.
It's fine.
This is not written in the modern day. This is not written in the modern day.
Exactly. Sure. What are we up to? Number 2, Taylor?
Yep. My number 2 is Mouse, A Survivor's Tale by Art
I knew it. It's a great show.
The academic, hoity-toity, monocle polish pick. It is.
Gomer.
No, it's a great book.
Gomer.
I cannot emphasize.
There's the guy with fucking Lemire
and. Go find yourself the rustiest piece of metal you can find and go fuck yourself. But either way.
Okay. Mouse is wonderful.
Mouse is great. I mean,
that's a great choice.
The main thing that makes it stick out to me is how much it gets inside of the author's head in the author's process as he's creating it. He's showing the interviews that he's doing in order to get the material to draw in the first place. It's exploring his relationship with his father and how his father surviving the Holocaust is forever this wedge that is between them, because he says to his therapist at one point, no matter what I accomplish, it's going to seem pretty small next to surviving the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Like, the single panel, though, that sticks with me years and years later is the beginning of the second volume, where he draws himself drawing the comic on top of a pile of corpses. Yeah. Because he tackles some really heady issues as he's going through this. Is it okay for me to be making any form of profit off of the most horrific event of the 20th century? Is it right for me to be trying to depict this as somebody who wasn't actually there at the time? My father, in a lot of ways, is kind of the caricature of a miserly old Jew, and should I try to depict him as real to life?
As this stereotype, yeah.
And
it not only does a good job of covering what is on the surface of the story. You know,
it goes so much deeper. Like, if this was just a story about the Holocaust, we've seen that a million times. There's actually a book about that called Holocaust Inc., which talks about like all these stories and movies that basically just ride on the prestige of being about the Holocaust in order to get like rave reviews and like money and stuff.
Yeah.
And this goes so much deeper than most of your usual stuff, because he's asking a lot of tough questions about himself and what he's doing.
Exactly. And it's that, and it's not, and it is him dealing with the process, like you said, but it also asks questions that every creator should really kind of ask themselves while they're creating, in terms of, like what you said, the characters and decisions that are made to, like the stereotype with the dad, you know, different choices that are made, and what is my end product actually going to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is the idea that I'm having in my head, is what I'm seeing going to be what everyone else sees? And that's got to be the ultimate question for any kind of creator. You know, is my message going to be carried?
Yeah, and should I be telling this story? Should I even tell it? And in the end, he's like, well, that's why the book takes that personal, because he does put himself and how what has happened with his dad affects him. And, you know, ultimately that's why he's telling the story.
Yeah.
You know,
this is a great I
choice.
talk shit on it, of course,
Great
because it's taught in high schools.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I read it in college. We had to read it in college class.
It was an assignment. This is the first time I read it. It was
unlike the other dribble that we've been talking about. This is found in the biography section of the bookstores. So. Hoity-toity.
It is. It's monocle polish shit, man. It really is.
It's a good choice. Great choice.
It is. Are we still at number 2? Taking number 2 on us.
We are number 1. So number 2 is going to be Dark Knight Returns.
That's a great choice.
It's a great choice. That was my mind.
I feel like this is the book that got me in the comic. Like I read comics before.
Yeah.
And I was like, and a friend of mine just gave me, I got a Batman book. Because I was all Marvel. Didn't touch anything DC. They gave me this book and it blew my fucking mind. when I read it. Honestly, with everything that was going on, I had no idea that Batman was this deep. And to be honest with you, after doing some research, all the stuff that characterization of Batman, Frank Miller didn't invent this stuff.
No,
Denny O'Neil really did it.
Yes, Denny O'Neil is the Batman writer.
He is the Batman. He's the guy that really brought Batman into the modern era. But
his take on a modern era Superman for the 80s is just perfect. That spun into so many other stories using that Superman,
Right. That does make sense, because the thing is, we always say Superman is about truth, justice, in the American way. And Frank Miller, and that's the thing he did do, broke it down like, what does that mean?
Yes.
Truth and the American way. That means you're going to put America first. You're going to be America's attack dog. So we see him going to the Court of Maltese and all these other countries wrecking shit because, like I said, he's America's first.
It's MAGA Superman, dude. Basically.
It's MAGA Superman. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
He's Dr. Manhattan. He's Dr. Manhattan.
He's Dr. Manhattan.
Exactly what it is. And like I said, this book, and one thing that Frank Miller did do with this book is that he brought Batman into like the political side of it, which most books kind of touch on, but don't really go on. But they really go here with this because, like I said, most people don't even know why Superman and Batman even fighting in this book. The reason they're fighting is because the government is trying to lock down everybody, trying to take control of everybody. Since Batman has control and got the city by himself, he's basically proving to the world, we don't need you. So they want to send Superman in there to take him out to set an example. Like I said, because Superman is their attack dog. And the ending of and that's what makes this book so awesome. But before we even get to that, the third book of this is the Batman vs. Joker fight, which in my opinion is the best Batman Joker fight of all time in any media. That's my opinion. Just the way that fight is broken down. The innuendo in there, how they go fighting in the Tunnel of Love.
Right.
I think Frank Miller was the first one to make a gay Joker. Hello, darling.
And it could even be, it doesn't have to be like a romantic love,
I think it was.
No, I mean, he furthered the idea that the Joker would not live without Batman. The Joker,
vice versa.
Joker without Batman.
Right.
They're forever tied together. The way love is like an interesting word to describe the way he depicts them, is that Joker knows that's his soulmate because they will fight till the end of time. As far as he's concerned, that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's
I always like that part.
Love. Okay.
Yeah, at the end of the fight, where like Joker is like genuinely disappointed that Batman did not go through with killing him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he didn't care about him as much as he does him.
Yes, it's very much like an old married couple. If the fight is very much like an old married couple.
Yeah, that part where Joker dies and like whatever's inside of him like rattles on its way out, and like his final laugh and everything. So
well, then he becomes the Batman who laughs. So we know what happens.
And also, even the second issue. Well, first off, they gave us a new Robin, Carrie Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was a very interesting story right there. Even that second issue, people really underestimate that second issue of this run because he's fighting that mutant dude Bane. Honestly, I think
in my opinion, the fight against the mutant leader is my favorite Batman fight of all time.
Honestly, I feel like that's where they got the Dark Knight Rises from. Like, even though, yes, Bane is there, but I really feel like they're really channeling the mutant leader. Because it really started here. Batman goes with the mutant leader, gets his ass whooped, has to go back, retool. He has control of the city, beats his ass. I feel like it's that. But the best thing about this book, like I said, is Batman-Superman fight. And it drags out, and they plant seeds about it through the entire run of this series. So you like, and at the time, we don't know about prep time Batman, Bat God, all the stuff like that to just beat anybody. So we're seeing Batman talking shit to Superman the entire time through this run. You're like, Batman, what the fuck are you doing? This is
right.
Superman,
Yeah.
And you see him prepping the whole time and planning the whole time. And then at the end, he beats Superman. You're like, wait, what? Batman can beat Superman?
Yeah. One-armed Ollie.
One-armed Ollie shows up, we don't know the whole story behind it, but we know just enough why Ollie is there to, do that shit, But yeah, just the fact that Batman did all that shit and he grabs him. I want to let you know I'm the one man who beat you. You're like, this shit really happened. This is the fucking, because I'm thinking like if it just ended at issue 3 with Batman vs. Joker, it was already the best Batman story of all time. And then no, we're gonna one up ourselves.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Superman fucking come down here and try to fight him.
It's my favorite Batman story.
Yeah. I mean, every chapter is like a testament to who Batman is. He comes out of retirement in the first one, and he faces Two-Face, where he has to deal with that his other personality. Yeah. And I see reflection, Harvey. That's all I see. you know. And then you go into, then we tackle the mutant leader with the street crime and what, why he was doing everything and the effect of that. And then the Joker and that relationship with the Joker. Then we go with Superman and what heroes mean. So like every chapter is like a statement to the Batman character,
Yeah.
And I feel like this is also a Batman book. Like if you don't know anything about Batman, you just give it to him and boom, that's it. Also,
this was actually the first Batman graphic novel I ever read. So
Same
I actually
here.
lived through what you're describing there.
Well, no, I did read Death in the Family too back in the day.
Yeah.
But,
like I said, this is the first book to kill Jason Todd.
Yeah. But not the sequels to this?
Fuck no.
No.
That's when he went crazy. That's when Frank.
We don't talk about those.
Yeah.
As much as Frank Miller contributed so
cool.
much
I thought
to
that was kind of cool.
like, as much as Frank Miller has earned his spot as like one of the greatest comic writers of all time, the dude is batshit insane. At this point.
The latest one that Eli just mentioned, what was it? The
Master Race.
Yeah, it was a bit too on the nose in some of the spots.
I don't know. All those Kryptonians like commenting like meteor themselves into Earth.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
We saw what number 2 for Eli. I can't argue with TDK. It's amazing.
Yeah, my number 2 is Chris Claremont, and I'm trying not to suck Frank Miller's dick, but Frank Miller, Chris Claremont, Wolverine.
Give it to me. Boom. There we go. That's only okay. I'm fine with
this is him as an artist, though. So I feel like
fine with it.
Frank Miller is the artist.
You're diversifying your portfolio a bit here.
Yes. It's not Frank Miller writing. But you see Frank Miller's artwork, taking some of that Daredevil style, and then he's sort of evolving into what Sin City would become with the use of shadows and contrast. But this is the quintessential introduction into Wolverine. We get a sense of who he is. This cements the first time we ever hear I'm the best there is at what I do is in this book. So much of Wolverine's personality, of who we know of who he is now, is from this book. Him trying to fight for his humanity. He's trying to fight for his humanity. He thinks he's an animal, all his life. And, it's so beautifully written. He's going after his old lady, goes to Japan to find his true love. But then he's got this other woman who no, I like you the way you are. Don't change. You're cool as this murderous, ravaging animal. But no, he wants to be a better person with his wife. And then he fights ninjas. And
I love this book. I love everything about this book.
Yeah.
This is the quintessential Wolverine book for me still. I mean, Wolverine in Japan is timeless. Actually, what a lot of people don't even realize is the facials Miller puts on this is what we think of as Wolverine. The way Wolverine's face is drawn and contorted throughout all of the teleplay of him trying to be a good person and stop killing all of these ninjas, but can't stop killing all these ninjas. Yeah. The art is absolutely classic in this book.
Those where you only see is like it's totally like
his eyes.
His eyes in the shadows. Yeah, and then his claws. That's all you see.
Yeah.
But it just goes to point out the essence of his character, like him trying so hard to find his humanity, and then realizing that humans are just as fucked up as he is.
Exactly.
Because he's
that's the big point there.
Yeah, the Yakuza. They're doing a bunch of gnarly ass, shady ass shit.
That was my big takeaway from it. Yeah, Wolverine's trying to, come to terms with himself in a way where he's trying to, like you said, become more human and less of the animal. But what this shows you is, no, you're normal, dude. You're just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the book that actually put Wolverine to the forefront of Marvel. Yeah. This is the guy that you need to put in front of everything. This is when you start sticking every book. This is when Marvel realized that he was the marketable machine that he was.
Yeah.
And I feel like every X-Men artist after Frank Miller did this, especially Jim Lee, was channeling, okay, Frank Miller showed you how to draw him. Do that.
Those action panels. I mean, you can tell Frank Miller was totally in love with ninjas and samurai and all.
Dude, Ronin,
yeah.
The way he depicts Wolverine moving on the page
Oh,
yeah, that's quintessential now. Everybody does that. That's Wolverine's fighting style. That's how he does it.
Yeah,
exactly.
the Berserker Rage, that awesome the ending where he fights Marco's dad,
Yeah.
and he just like he finally just says fuck it in the end and just snicks it. He has his fist right up to his face, and then
Or even
snicked
the
right through
panel
his
where
head.
he just says, "Fuck it with these ninjas to the cloud. I'm gonna just have a bow and arrow,
Yep.
you know, just shoot the shit out of them." You know,
Because they were he was trying to go for honor. He's like fighting for honor and love, and then he's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. This
Yes.
guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
This also starts the very famous, often depicted rage bile that Wolverine has when he's going full berserker. That Miller drew a lot of this spit just drooling off Wolverine and you really never saw that before. I mean, if you read all the X-Men that lead up to this, you never saw Wolverine have that line of spit coming off his fangs. That Miller just, like I said, Wolverine's facials are very much what we know Wolverine as now.
Yeah, so
Good
many
pick.
iconic images.
So
in
many
this book.
iconic images in this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah,
That's a
So,
solid pick.
Great choice. That was a great
Hard
choice.
to argue that one. I won't. You are on Miller's dick though.
Yeah,
my
I
number
am.
one,
totally.
my
Totally
number one
riding that shit.
was Watchmen. We already
Yes,
went
great,
over it.
great choice. Great choice.
Jules, number one.
Okay, so I'm gonna clarify this pick
Oh, man.
because
Don't.
as a kid, obviously I was going to a comic book store. I was the only kid that went. The comic book store owner kind of just took a shining to me, and everyone was recommending Watchmen. And he told me before I read Watchmen, I should read this book because it's what Moore had done before, and to him was more poignant. And my pick is Volume 1, Marvel Man, Miracle Man. Yeah, it's originally called Marvel Man. The issues that I own are called Marvel Man. I have those issues and the original trade, but everyone knows it now as Miracle Man.
I'm not a fan.
And the first volume is just awesome. I love it. It's a superhero forgets who he's a superhero.
What were like the first 12 issues? Moore did on that one, I think.
Yes,
he did,
Moore
like,
did the first 12.
I think Neil Gaiman finished the rest.
And
of
Neil
it.
Gaiman did the rest.
Honestly, the people who wrote for this character, it's a real murderer's row there.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's some of the best.
So
of the
was
best.
Ultimate X-Men, but
Yeah.
it sucked too.
But and Alan Davis on the artwork is absolutely beautiful. I love the story. A Superman like, or really more like Shazam.
It's Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
It's Captain
definitely
Marvel. It's Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Totally forgets that he's Captain Marvel, runs into his former protege, regains his powers. His protege freaks out on him, has been this terrible, awful person for years, only to turn out he's still a little kid inside and cannot come to terms with everything he's done. I love this book because it does what Watchmen did, but more hyper-focused in analyzing what superheroes are like in our world in terms of dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder.
I didn't like it for that reason because I like.
I
Watchmen.
love it. I understand.
The biggest fan of Marvel Man, Miracle Man, Joe Quesada.
Yeah, he loves Joe. He
He's the
did
one
everything to redo all these covers.
He's the one who made sure that it got back to Marvel, and that
Wait,
never
who has the
panned
rights
out.
now? Does Marvel have the rights now?
Marvel owns the rights now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
But
his
yeah.
goal. That was one of his goals when he became the
Mhm.
creative whatever that Akira's now got.
Yeah, but
Whatever
this
his name is.
Alan Moore book is absolutely amazing as it dives into the neuroses of a superhero and how he tries to adapt his life that he's made as a normal person to re-understanding who he was. I love this book. It explores things that I'd never seen before in a comic book. Obviously, Watchmen is on everybody else's list. This was on
I'm
my
gonna
number
be
one.
different.
No, I chose it because I like it more than Watchmen. I'm gonna say that, guy.
wrong.
Hey, that's
You
fair.
can say that. You can say that. I think it's better than Watchmen for the fact that it dives deeper into the superhero neuroses. Watchmen does a lot of great, goes all over the place. I think it's a great book.
That's what I mean. Watchmen, there is a persistent theme, but Watchmen has multiple themes there. And
Yeah,
it goes
there's more
in
going
with,
on there.
with
But
current events and things like that. Marvel Man just different, man.
I guess one thing that would make me pick Watchmen over this is that there's that part where what's his name, Marvel Man Jr. or whatever the fuck his name
Kid
is.
Marvel Man.
There you go. That's enough reason
that.
to hate this
It
book.
gets
No,
really
best
indulgent with all the violence at that point, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Like he's like freaking
written in
throwing cars
82.
to people and like stacking people on Big Ben, and it's a little over the top.
Remember when
It
they
was
stole
also
this in May
before
Century?
Watchmen.
Remember when they stole this in May Century?
Oh, I only think of that when I read Century. I read Century obviously after I read this, and I felt so wronged that Marvel ripped off this book completely.
But it's all a rip off of Superman, so
well, technically this book, Cap Marvel. This is all rip off Cap Marvel.
Oh,
well, ultimately, all roads lead back to Superman. We're talking about superheroes anyway.
You're right.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But this is my number one pick. I love this book. I think it's one of the greatest superhero stories told of all time.
Terrible choice.
I knew you were going to tell me that. I
think it's a solid pick, but like if I was picking between this and Watchmen, well, obviously I went with Watchmen.
I have an entire list of Alan Moore top 5 and an honorable mention. This ain't on it.
I knew you were going to tell me that. I went with this because I've loved this book more for my whole life, and I knew everyone was going to pick Watchmen. So to give us like a different flavor of love here at the end, I went with this because I've always liked it more.
Yeah,
I've always liked it more. Yes.
Sorry.
My number one is one that already got mentioned. It is Day Tripper by Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever read. It's not about high-flying cosmic adventures. It's not about espionage or high fantasy or anything like that. It's about life. Yep. It's about life and death and about how death is a part of life. I feel like the point to me of him like dying at the end of every issue is to kind of put a focus on how fragile things can be. That what if you zigged instead of zagged? What if you couldn't wait to go get the smoke? Or what if you got excited about meeting the pretty girl? And all these things could go wrong, but that is tragic, but it also helps to emphasize how precious the other things are. That when things go well, it's so much more meaningful because of how elusive all of that is.
Yeah.
So
I got a copy of this too.
I'll get you guys a copy of this book. It made my list for obvious reasons.
Yeah. This book is poignant. It's something that I think everyone should read at least once, genuinely.
I agree. I
agree.
Absolutely agree.
I'll get you guys. I'll get you bullies.
Yeah, we'll get you. We'll hook you.
Leroy's already mentioned his number one as well.
Yeah, I just want to just say some brief things about. Like I said, Watchmen is on there. The reason I put it on it, like I said, if you read this book multiple times, I feel like you gain something new from it from the last time you read it.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, I also feel like the book means something differently depending on the era you're reading it. I feel like it means something different in 2020 than it did back in 1985 when they wrote it. So,
Watchmen is the only book I carry with me all the time.
Like if you want, I feel like that's like the number one reason that if you want to say, well, comic books are for kids or comic books aren't, juvenile, just boom, give them that. And so that's my thing.
Wonderful choice.
And plus I always just quote shit from the book also like that the clown joke, but Doc, I'm Pagliacci. I just remember that joke in my head all the time.
I did it.
That's the American dream. It came true.
Yeah.
You're living it,
You're looking at it. And the opening, the sewer scab over. Oh shit! Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Dog stomach burst in the alleyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And the politician will look up and say, "Save us!" And I was
no. See, my go-to is for this year is I'm tired of this earth. I'm tired of being caught up in the tangle of these lives. That has been my quote all year.
That's dude, that's perfect. You're right.
That is my quote of the year. I've thought of it all year. He's going to Mars, guys.
Like the older we get, the more we relate to Dr. Manhattan.
It's true.
Isn't that crazy?
It's true.
That's so strange.
That's the time Dr. Manhattan was like, fuck it,
Yeah. See, Alan Moore, I think that guy's on to something. He
was
places if he sticks in comics. Eli, wrap us up with
my number one. Okay. I tried really hard to get Alan Moore on here. Tried really hard.
Didn't happen.
Was gonna do Killing Joke, but like I said, I gotta keep it real, and I gotta suck on them Frank Miller nuts. It's Dark Knight Returns.
Nice.
Yeah, like we all know why it's cool. It's the best Batman, best Joker, best everything. Him fighting Superman, but
this is the one book Tim Burton read. So
the only one.
Killing Joke. He read Killing Joke.
I actually watched that Tim Burton Batman, the first one, the '89, the other day with my kid, and he was making fun of it the whole time.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Right along with him.
Yeah. At the time, it was the most like realistic, gritty shit. At the time, and just
because Batman killed somebody. Like a couple
He
times.
kills a lot of people in that.
He kills a
man.
lot of people.
Yeah.
In return,
I mean,
he's like
Batman's
murking
got
everybody in
quite
return.
the body count in a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but I
like,
testament.
you can tell the
okay.
books really made it because of how homaged that cover is,
Oh,
if
sure.
nothing else.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
in BBS.
Yeah. But a testament to Frank Miller and his writing. Those narrations, those inner voices of everybody from Bruce Wayne back to Commissioner Gordon. He is a fucking Looney Tune badass in this fucking
yeah.
He is losing his mind. He's just as insane as Bruce Wayne. You know, I think of Sarah. The rest is easy. You know,
Oh man.
you know,
yeah.
you know, it's and I think that's like I said. Frank Miller grew up. He's a New Yorker. He grew up in New York City. So this is his Daredevil run, his Batman stories. They're all gritty crime noir tales. And that totally fits Batman. It perfectly fits Batman. And having Batman be this half psychotic, you know, insane old guy just sort of snaps again and goes out.
Yeah.
And basically he's one half step away from being a fucking serial killer, you know. That just is totally badass. And when I read it,
does Batman kill people in this book?
no.
I don't think he's
I feel
killed
like
anyone.
What about the part where he there was like the hostage situation and Batman turns the gun on the guy? Wasn't that
They
him killing someone?
never really explained what
Yeah.
happened there.
Yeah.
All I know, he turned the gun on the guy. He shot the gun at the guy. You don't see the guy anymore, and and they just go to the next scene. So we don't know if Batman shot that guy or not. You know, or even the rubber bullets.
I was like, he did use rubber bullets though. So to the defense, they went out of their way to tell you it was rubber bullets.
That's a
When he
good
was in the
point.
tank,
He didn't kill that guy.
And he
Yeah,
could have
didn't.
they could have had him kill the Joker in this, and they decided.
Oh, and
not.
actually, yeah, that's a good point. Like when the
That
police
point,
are doing the manhunt, they don't add murder to the list of charges until after they find the Joker. So that indicates that he did not kill that guy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the mutant gang, the Sons of Batman,
Oh,
those guys are so fucking
Beast.
dope. Just that idea of these guys running around with guns doing Batman's work and him saying, no, weapons of silence. You know, we're ninjas. We got to be ninjas, man. Guns are for pussy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and then of course, like, I love just like, so there's like also a horror, like in the first issue where there's that woman with the groceries or whatever, and it's being rained, and there's that slasher guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
He's got a knife and shit. It's like a horror movie, and then Batman shows only you know Jason
Ruined the horror
Voorhees
movie.
gets killed by Batman. Gets taken out by Batman. I mean, there's so much cool shit that when I first read it, I was like, holy shit, this is dope. And I've read it so many times throughout my life. I've reread it like almost like once a year. I just keep going back.
Batman's grappling gun, I think, was invented in this book.
Maybe the gun. Yeah, he always had sort of a grapple.
No, but before he was always had a grappling hook that he threw. This is time he used a gun like to shoot it across there. So
is that so?
That's what I heard. I don't think you can find it anywhere before this book.
Yeah, and the fact that, you know, Carrie Kelly as a Robin might be a little. Leroy talks about, you know, the little sexual tension between Joker and Batman, but with the use of Carrie Kelly, that may kind of make Batman into maybe he was kind of into Robin. The reason why he was going after these little boys all the time. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's the thing.
I don't know. I even want to go there.
I'm going there. Fuck it.
That's why he hates Damian so much.
I think Frank Miller changed Robin to a girl to kind of get away from that sexual innuendo, but I think by accident he actually made it even stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it made him look like kind of kooky. It made him look a little kooky.
Yeah. She's a great Robin, though. I love her as Robin.
Yeah.
She's coming back, isn't she? Is something soon?
Hey, y'all, they say that every year she's coming back.
True.
I think she did show up in the New 52.
Yeah. She was there for a minute.
Like, and then disappeared, but yeah.
Any honorable mentions? Long Halloween?
Long Halloween definitely deserves an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was going to do the Dark Phoenix saga.
Oh, that's a good one.
But the reason I didn't is because you have to read the Phoenix saga beforehand. You have to read all the other bullshit before
Death of Gwen Stacy, but I think you need more than just that one book.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't hit unless you are steeped in Spider-Man's run.
Same thing with Daredevil.
I will defend both those and say you could read Spider-Man Blue for Gwen Stacy and Daredevil Yellow Tim, those were almost
All
on
those
my
color
list too.
ones by
All the
Loeb.
color ones by Loeb and Sale are amazing.
Yeah.
One that I really wanted to put on my list was what I think is the greatest comics crossover of all time, JLA Avengers.
Oh, that's a good pick.
It is perfect fan service. You get like every character that's ever been on either of those rosters, all drawn by George Perez, and like the final fight where they're all teamed up fighting what's his name? That is the craziest balls to the wall fight I've ever seen in a comic, perhaps. So yeah.
Good choice. Rising Stars. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. It was off Top Cow Image Comics. J. Michael Straczynski. Just a superhero story in 3 parts. Like this meteor comes and people get pregnant and the kids have powers and it follows their entire life up until the end. And it's perfect. It's just a really good book, but not good enough to make it. Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow? Superman for All Seasons.
That one, I only read that because it's only like 2 issues.
Yeah, it's only 2 issues.
And plus, All-Star Superman was better.
Oh, All-Star Superman.
All-Star Superman was better. I was a fan of Superman for All Seasons. That's a pretty solid pick, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else? Hush.
I had Sin City. I almost got Sin City on there.
Was close for me.
Yeah, but like I said,
you really are all over Frank Miller's
I'm all over Frank Miller, man. Witches, Scott Snyder's Witches.
Wow, yeah.
I almost put that on there. 30 Days a Night. Because I'm a horror guy. I wanted to get Creepshow on there. But I mentioned that in our movies, so I didn't, and plus this is based off a movie. So, there's a bunch of stuff. Murder Falcon was like more recent. If I think of
yeah, that's cool too.
But yeah.
I could have had top 10 from Alan Moore, From Hell, Swamp Thing, maybe not Swamp Thing because you're right. It's a lot of.
Right. It's not, there's no definitive trait.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, V for Vendetta. I could have thrown all those.
I'm shocked V for Vendetta wasn't on here.
I could have thrown all those on here, man.
V for Vendetta is really good. It just gets crowded out,
Yeah.
Like V for Vendetta I would not ever consider that as my favorite Alan Moore book, So, but
honestly, I really wanted to put Future Imperfect on here. I don't know why.
Man,
it's just me.
Man, Maestro sucks.
Look, we're gonna make Maestro a thing. Maestro is going to happen.
Maestro
we're gonna make it happen.
Sucks. Terrible.
Old Man Logan was,
Old Man Logan's great.
I'll give another honorable mention to what I think is the best event I've ever read, Secret Wars from Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, that's cool. One.
Gomer pointed out the other day that is another one where to get the full effect of it, you have to read the full Avengers and New Avengers run before it.
80 Hickman issues.
Yeah.
And like 4 or 5.
But it's worth the payoff. It's worth the payoff.
It is.
It absolutely is. But it probably wouldn't hit as much,
yeah, speaking of pretentious.
Honestly, if we're talking about, I think the original Secret War should make the list before Hickman.
No, it doesn't.
Only because you can read it by itself.
It doesn't stand up.
It's self-contained.
It's not as good though.
Yeah. I mean, once you have to read all the other 80 books to get to Hickman's run, but I just feel like Secret War, you just read that.
If you just wanted to read Hickman's Secret Wars as a Dr. Doom standalone story, it absolutely still kills it.
You're not wrong. Yeah. If I was going to choose Doom stories, that would be very, very near the top. Very, very near the top.
That whole final fight between Reed and Dr. Doom at the end of that, if that was the final confrontation we ever got between Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom, it absolutely would have been fine with me. I think they did it that well.
And it felt like that book wrapped up Hickman's Fantastic Four run. Like that's
you're right. So I guess if you really want to get the full, you got to go back and read New Avengers, Avengers, and Fantastic Four runs.
There's some Ultimate shit in there you got to read too, with the Maker and all that. Yeah, dude, I
never read that, so I'm gonna go ahead and say you don't have to read that.
I am still sure. I am very certain that Hickman is simply writing the same story that he's been writing all along. When
everybody does that, Donny
Cates too. Yeah, not Bendis, but hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
How dare you mention Bendis in a
I
top
know,
5
sorry.
graphic novels?
Okay, if we were doing runs, which we should do, Bendis could have 3 spots on there very easily for me. his Spider-Man, his Ultimate Spider-Man,
yeah.
His Avengers, or New Avengers, and his Jessica Jones. Yep. I could put all three of those legit on a top 5 for best runs. I wouldn't, but I could argue that they're.
Well, I guess that's a story for next time.
That is. Maybe we'll do that in January.
That's when I'll have some more. That's when I'll have Alan Moore on my.
I was gonna say, we're going to find some long. I don't know if Frank Miller does any long runs like that.
He did Daredevil, you idiot.
He did Daredevil.
Well, yeah. That's the only one.
Punisher Born. You said you thought I was gonna have Punisher on my list. Yeah. I almost had Punisher Born on there, but that sort of fell into criteria of run. That was also a run. It is a self-contained story, but still, it is a run. Like Garth Ennis is, he would.
And this run is the quintessential pun run. It's
I almost had Superman's Man of Steel on there, like the original '85 Man of Steel. That's one of my favorite runs because they completely like scrapped Superman of everything he was before that pre-crisis bullshit. Silver Age gone. He wrote him for the post-crisis. I was like, this is awesome. Everything was rebooted. Everything was renewed. Yeah. Lex Luthor was Donald Trump, even back then.
Right. All right, well, let's put a bow on this thing. Thanks for listening, everybody. Find us all over the place at Outright Geekery. Also, search out the Comic Book Bullies. They do a show every week. I never miss an episode, even when they don't, post it to Outright Geekery. Hey, whatever.
We fucked up. I blame it on Eli, even though I control the show.
I'll do that too. But yeah, stay tuned next week. We're doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're doing Geekterion Collection, Gremlins, a week from today. And yeah, we'll have another one of these next month. So thanks again for everybody for hanging out, and we'll do it next time. Now I gotta get here. I hear my old lady.